drugs, alcohol.
What is the high school experience and who decides what that experience is? Everyone going into high school has different expectations of what the place will be like, fed by parents, older siblings, media, and PSAs about drinking and drugs from health class. The ruckus surrounding substance use in high school leads to many conflicting expectations and directions from different sides of the media, catching students at a precarious point when their rational decision-making part of the brain is not fully formed, but they are asserting independence from their parents and from confining social expectations. In the following segments, we will explore the three types of expectations surrounding substance use: social expectations, like pop culture and media; peer, and the examples of other students; and personal, the way these two intersect and create a whole new set of expectations. Join us!
Throughout life, people in any situation will experience pressure from the environment they're in and be motivated by social expectations. Social expectations are the expectations we as individuals feel as a result of the people we interact with and the environment we're in. These expectations are a result of a variety of things, from the people we hang out with to the movies we watch and the songs we listen to. High school is a time when these social expectations are particularly strong, as adolescents have a desire to fit in, not wanting to be outcasts or misfits, often putting themselves in unsafe situations as a result of social expectations. Overlooked students, like teenagers anywhere, feel the social pressure to fit in and make rash decisions in order to feel like they belong. In order to understand the connection between social expectations and drug and alcohol use in high school, we wanted to talk with a few members of the overlooked community and see how they feel about the social expectations surrounding drug and alcohol use.
I like listening to rap where they're just talking about getting drunk all the time, and I think that's changed my opinion because rappers are cool, and so I think I should drink.
I would say that when you first go into high school, it's kind of your first year in college in the sense that everything is new and you're a little naive. And I think that there's an expectation that the cool kids will use drugs and alcohol, and to be one of them, you have to do that.
I feel like a lot of the things that we see that might be projected to a lot of kids is, first off, in media. When you see all these movies of teenagers, and it's typical for them to have these huge parties, and there's drugs and alcohol and it's stuff like that. So these images of things like smoking cigarettes, doing drugs, or drinking, it makes people think, oh, that's what the cool people do. And to fit in, I have to do this as well.
Even at Overlake, it seems there's a culture around drinking and doing drugs, brought about by the social expectations a lot of high schoolers feel. Not just because of the people around them, but even pop culture. In the next section, we're going to pinpoint one specific part of social pressure: peer pressure.
I've made up my mind over and over.
At some point, everybody has the desire to fit into a group. If you're interested in sports, you might hang out with the jocks. And if you're interested in music, you'll spend time with others who enjoy music. You belong to that group and feel secure when you're part of it. The group identifies who you are and what you're about. Oftentimes, this desire to fit in, rather than being a misfit, results in submission to peer pressure. Peer pressure is different from social pressure in the sense that social pressure is conforming to the expectations of a culture and like a larger mass of people, whereas peer pressure is about direct influence from your best friends and your family. When peer pressure is mentioned in high school, the first thing that people think of is alcohol and drugs. Often teenagers try out and engage in underage drinking and drug using as a way of feeling mature. When this becomes a social norm for teenagers, many students are subject to peer pressure, pressured by friends and classmates to participate so that they too are seen as mature. Let's go see what Overlakes have to say about the times they felt pressured.
Yeah, I think that sometimes if you go to a party, you're kind of expected to because you don't want to be a buzzkill.
You definitely can tell coming back to school from parties that the people who go hang out and do stuff together.
I think people at Overlake are accommodating if you don't want to drink or smoke. I've never felt pressure to do so.
It definitely draws people apart from each other. I've kind of transitioned my social group a bit this year, but one of the main reasons was the parties and stuff that they were holding. Soon I try to find excuses to not go to these parties because I feel pressured to do things when I was there.
Yeah, I've been teased a few times when I don't want to drink. One time, my friend was driving me home and we were talking in the car, and he was talking about this party he went to.
I'd say peer pressure is one of the biggest factors of why people do it.
And so I didn't really comment on anything. And so he asked me if I had drank before, and I said no.
There's a couple kids who try it because their older brothers do it, right? and they're talking to their buddies and they're like, hey man, we gotta try this, or I got this guy who can get some weed, and they're like, we gotta do this.
He kind of made fun of me and told me next time I'm going to bring you to a party and I'm going to make you drink because it's so fun. So I just felt really uncomfortable and cornered.
Peer pressure isn't always a negative thing. It can be a positive influence and help challenge or motivate you to be your best. However, it's helpful to recognize that peer pressure can also be negative. It can result in you doing something that doesn't fit with your sense of right and wrong.
Tried every door, don't know who I'm looking for.
We all have personal expectations for ourselves, for how we complete our schoolwork, how we treat our friends and family, how we hold ourselves accountable for our actions. However, these expectations change as we mature. Just as personal expectations change, especially in the teenage period of fast maturity, our personal expectations pertaining to drugs and alcohol can change immensely over the course of high school. New independence, freedom, and outside pressures, as well as the underlying desire to rebel from our parents, or maybe just the opportunity to experiment for the first time, makes it easy for high schoolers to change their mindset around drugs and alcohol. It is also quite common to fall into the trap of believing the use of drugs is a step towards maturity, further impeding high schoolers from recognizing the dangers and consequences of their actions. To understand how personal expectations impact individuals' decision-making, we'll ask a few students about their experiences.
I think at a high school level, it's definitely more mature not to participate. It's so easily accessible, so it's a mature thing to have the self-control to say no.
I think that if you're very safe about it and don't drink in excess, there's a certain level of maturity with that.
As a freshman, I think as we get more mature, we'll probably start making bad decisions. I have to say, it comes along with it. But then as we mature more, we'll start making better decisions as we learn from our bad decisions.
It's fine with moderation. As long as it's not like a distraction in your life and you're not doing it every day, it's fine.
Honestly, it's just not even that big of a deal.
Based on some of the stories I've heard from my friends and the kind of actions they've committed when they're drunk, it's like completely different from who they are at school or the person I know. It kind of deters me even more because I don't want to be that type of person.
I can't be everything you want.
Why are some people completely oblivious to peer and social pressure and others aren't? Why are some so sure their decisions aren't influenced by any outside source? And then when and why do they think they have the maturity to make these decisions? Why do these people feel unaffected by social pressure and peer pressure, while others struggle with expectations of substance use every day? Are they pretending that their decisions are independent, or are they truly steadfast in their beliefs? Social, peer, and personal expectations feed one another to drastically affect the high school experience of students and are nearly indistinguishable. High school is the time when students assert their independence and decide whether to fight or succumb to expectations, and expectations surrounding drugs and alcohol are no exception.
Believe